Hello, Bermuda, and welcome to Education Connection, an online talk show focusing on what is happening in public education in Bermuda. Today, I am glad that I'm joined by the Barclay Institute and Cedar Bridge Academy because we will be discussing signature senior schools featuring our senior signature learning programs. Today, we are joined by from the Barclay, Deputy Principal Simons, Yoma from Cedar Bridge Academy, Acting Deputy Principal Hodip, Teacher Mr. and student. Today, it is a pleasure to be back with Education Connection after an extended break. I first want to take this time to congratulate all of the M3 students who attended the first immersion fair held at WordCamp today. These events will help our students to see what their choices for signature schools are and help them decide on the best way forward for themselves. Today, we will be speaking with S1 students who are currently enrolled in signature in September 2022. I'm excited to have representatives from leaders, teachers, and students here today with an insight as to what the new signature programs are in our high schools. Now, Deputy Principal Simons, what are the signatures at the Barclay Institute?
Currently, we have two signatures, health and social care and financial and insurance services.
And signatures at Cedar Bridge Academy.
At Cedar Bridge Academy, we have the STEM, and we also have trades and professions.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to start with you, Miss Hodip. What can you tell us about the signature programs and the career pathways, and how does it differ from?
Well, students have the opportunity to select their signature learning program, or SLP as it's abbreviated, and that's based on their future career pathway. They have core classes that they're required to take, such as math, English, and in this case, it will probably be a science that they would have to take because we have the STEM and the trades and professions. But supplemental courses are also taken that will give students additional insight, amplify their career choices, provide a specific skill maybe in one particular area. One of the examples is in the environmental pathway, students take supplemental courses in introduction to science and engineering practices. And then they also take another course called Bermuda Ecology, and they have been out in the field, in the dirt, getting murky and, getting their hands right into it. So that helps with them to determine what their career journey might start to look like.
Thank you, Ms. Hodip. Ms. What do you see as different in the career pathway at Barclay Institute?
I'm sorry, Minister, you were just breaking up. I didn't get the beginning of the question.
Oh, I was asking you, what can you tell us about the programs and the career pathways at the Institute, and how are they working?
Yes, I think the signatures are working well. Obviously, we had our hiccups in the beginning. The program is our health and social care is new to our teachers. In the financial and insurance services signature, we've implemented two new business courses, Fundamentals of Business 1, students are enrolled in for semester 1, and in semester 2, Fundamentals of Business 2. So new to teachers, the content, I think the business the teachers were familiar with, and it was a curriculum that was certainly rewritten and made more relevant to what students are learning in the classroom today. I think our young people are certainly enjoying the opportunity to learn what careers are available to them, and they've actually started to. I mean, we've got a group that's out on a field trip today, learning about what's available in health and social care. Our business students are also about to embark on some opportunities in the community with businesses and partners actually coming into the classroom to share with students so much about what's offered in these areas.
It actually sounds pretty exciting. I know as the minister, I've seen it in paper. You know, I've seen the plan and I've seen how it's going to work. But to actually hear our people talk about it, it really does bring a level of excitement because it's being embraced and how we move forward. And so, as veteran teachers, what changes have you seen in the curriculum as we've introduced signature schools? I'll say with you, Ms. Simons. You can answer. Okay, Ms. Holdup, you can answer first.
I was going to say that some of the differences include the supplemental courses that have been added to enhance the signature program. So, for example, those that are in the STEM, they're taking the Introduction to Science and Engineering Practices. If, again, they're on the environmental pathway, then they have specific courses that might have not been previously offered, like Bermuda Ecology. In the STEM, they also have the computer courses where they're taking coding. Some of them might have not had the coding before. So there are specific courses that have been added as signature learning courses, and that's to help and enhance those pathways.
Okay, thank you very much.
If I can actually add, with our health and social care, all of our students will be exposed to Introduction to First Aid and our finance students. And so this year, our health and social care signature students will do the health and social care BTAC program. In addition, with their PE, they also are enrolled in the Introduction to First Aid. Now, our students in the financial and insurance signature, they're doing the fundamentals of business and they're doing the coding. So next year they'll do a flop and they'll do a switch, and the business students will also get the opportunity to learn about Introduction to First Aid, as well as our health and signature student, healthcare students, also having the exposure to the coding as well.
Okay. When you look at the changes in the curriculum, do you see the benefit that this has to our students? And are they embracing these changes, or is it something they're finding a tough go at kind of doing stuff that's a little bit different from what they would have been exposed to this day?
I think it's interesting. The other day, a teacher was substituting for a teacher that was on leave. When she came down to the office, she said, you know what, I went into this teacher's health class, and out of the 15 students in that class, she said 13 of them actually knew what they wanted to do. And she said it was so interesting and pleasing to hear young people talk about, I know what I want to be, and I want to be a chiropractor. And I think it's just given our students more of a vision and really some real accountability for their own learning and their own aspirations. They're talking about what they want to do. These young people here in front of me have already started to research. Like, they know what universities they want to go to. So it's certainly been pleasing to see our students really engaged in the full educational process.
And anything on your end?
I was going to say that, with it is different. Signature learning programs are different. And when students move from the lower levels to high school, there's always changes that they have to embrace. Just changes in terms of social interactions with one another, being accountable for the things that they're doing. But I guess it's a little different this year because, they've had a bit more choice in terms of what they actually want to do. And so then I think that will be part of the driving force to be able to help them to be able to filter in and become more, accustomed to what it is that they are going to be venturing onto with their career aspiration.
I heard a couple of key points there. You talked about career aspirations, and prior, as someone who came through the previous school system that we all say was really was different from what we have now, but I don't recall talking about career aspirations, in year one of my high school career. That's something that came sort of towards year four. Well, we had 5 years then, but that's something that came towards the end of year three, year four, when you start talking about taking your O levels and different stuff.
Exactly.
So we're giving what we're saying is we're giving children an opportunity to get on that pathway as quickly as possible. And I know from our experience, the type of information they're getting now at S1, we're looking to push that down even further into the primary school level when we add the P7 and the P8 to the primary school, and they'll start getting exposure there. So they'll come already prepped and saying, I think I know what I'm interested in, and be gung-ho and ready. But it's exciting to hear that we have students that are looking at this so early in their educational career in high school. We always said that we want our students, when they finish our system, to leave not only with a diploma in their hand, but also experiences, also technical knowledge, and also the drive to either go into the workforce or go into continuing education. But that starts as long as we can get to them as soon as we can, that makes it even better. Which brings me into my next question, which talks about graduation requirements. What changes to the graduation requirements have been made in order to accommodate the signature programs?
Well, I think that the main thing for the graduation requirements is that students are now expected to achieve 7.5 credits towards their signature learning courses, which would have not been previously. And so that supports your statement that you just made in reference to being exposed to a career choice from S1 rather than starting to think about it in S3 or S4. So they have 7.5 credits for the signature learning programs that they're required in each of the pathways that they choose.
Yes, and if I can add, in terms of the graduation requirement, it's not so different from what our current students are doing in terms of, they've still got to obtain their community service hours and their co-curricular hours. Yes, they're doing the signature learning credits in addition to their core credits. So that remains the same, that they still got to obtain their 24 credits, as our students do. What else did I want to say? Maintain, yes, their GPA of 2.0. So some of the things are similar, but what's interesting is some of our senior level students want to get into some of the signature courses. And so that's something that, initially we started out with our incoming students, but it's certainly something we're looking at next year. Yes, you can get involved. And so, hopefully opening more sections of what we offer in the signature learning program, because there was a young man who's in S3 and he said, I want to go into nursing and I hear about what the students are doing in health and social care. And I think I'd really be interested in, joining that class. So it was too late, once we started, but there's certainly the opportunity for those students also to, obtain credits in those areas.
And that is interesting. And it's a beautiful thing to see that some of the existing students wanting to be a part of this and recognizing that they can do this. I know this next question I have, it talks about how students can get in the processes. I remember we had a show, one of these shows, and we had some students from Berkeley and some students from Cedar Bridge. And one of the questions asked of one of the young men from the Berkeley was, why was he interested in being on the show and expressing his opinion? And his answer was, because my brother is going to be in S1 next year, and so I can help pave that path for him, a path I wasn't able to take, but I see that there's something that he could take. So I was just wondering, how do we continuously keep students involved in helping us progress education forward, and especially our signature schools, and how do the schools handle the ideas that come back from the students? Like you just said, Ms. Simons, we have students saying, hey, how can I be involved, and coming, and you're kind of working with that. Are there any other examples of how we get students involved and how they help shape what education is looking like?
Absolutely. We actually are planning our own kind of career fairs in January. I know that we're supposed to have a kind of a big fair, system-wide in October, but we're actually planning one, and our students will be on the front line. They will be, so our incoming M3 students will be visiting, and our young people will be on the front line telling the students about their experience and what's available here at the Berkeley Institute in terms of the signature learning program. So we're always looking to have our young people engaged, because I think, the young people say it themselves, sometimes we just learn best from our peers. So hearing and obviously we'll have the adults in the room as well, but certainly the engagement from our young people is definitely going to make, a big difference in, exposing what's available to young people.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, we had previously, as the signature learning programs were being developed, there were taster programs. So kind of like the same thing where students would have the opportunity to come. This is what it could be like. This is what it is like. But another key part is that they have the opportunity to be able to give their feedback, to say, well, I think this is good. I think that's not good, or whatever the case is. And then make intentional change to incorporate some of their ideas. And then they can, be more in tune with the actual program and have more incentive when their views are appreciated and then also put forward.
Yes, it's definitely. I mean, we spoke about this co-design process that we've undertaken, and it seems that people have gravitated towards that. Involving the educators, involving the leaders within the school, involving the students, involving the parents, and involving the community. For years we've heard people say, why can't education be like this? And so we've spent a good portion of our time saying, okay, well, tell us, what is it that we want? So I know the teams do a tremendous amount of work of working with and accepting the ideas. And you always hear us say, contact us, let us know what you think. We want to incorporate what you're thinking, and that trickles down to you students as well. So you have an opportunity, students, to make that difference in what's going on here. The last question I have, and then we want to walk on, because I really want to hear from I really do want to focus on the students and hear some things more about the students. But can you tell us, and this can go down to you too as well, Mr. Herman, what does the in-class learning in the signature programs actually look like versus what we've been doing before? I've heard you, Ms. Simons, talk about the first aid and the BTEC and the like, but what's different for what they're doing in these signature learning programs versus what we've been doing in the past?
Well, being that this is the first year of the signature program, we do have to teach some of the foundation courses and the basics. So we still employ some traditional teaching methods, but now one of the new things we are doing is to make sure that it is more project-based. Okay, by project-based, I mean the students are going to be creating a project and they'll be working on that project throughout the year. It is more student-centered and hands-on learning and student-driven as well. And teachers are more as facilitators of the course, where the students are actually doing things as opposed to doing a lot of teaching. An example, for example, the science students had to create a fish, and they had to prototype it, they had to design the fish and do some testing, and then they had to come up with the best methods of actually presenting the results. So, like I said, we are more student-centered as opposed to teacher-centered.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Simons, well, I know you don't have any teachers in there. I'm not sure in the classroom, but what could you add to that? What does look different?
No, I'd have to share Mr. Herman's sentiments. We walked into was a coding class just this week, and the students were. It's like you don't even need a teacher in the classroom. The students are there working. They can tell you all about what they're doing. And Miss, you want to come and see my website? And and the HTML coding stuff that I'm sorry, I could not decipher. All these words and then created this. I mean, it's fascinating to see, young people excited and really taking charge of their education. So, and obviously it's not perfect yet. We're still working. It's a work in progress. But from what I see, I'm really pleased and excited about where we can continue to grow and develop.
To add to Ms. Simons, in my coding class, the students actually prefer to work on their own as opposed to me presenting to them. So a lot of the times I just have to sit back and observe what they are doing and just step in if only they need help.
And that's an interesting comment, because we talk about a learning system that's personalized and actually meets our children where they are and giving them the opportunity to blossom versus us, just saying do this and they're just trudging along with that. You kind of touched on what this next question is about project-based learning. Could you go into just more detail for the listening audience when we talk about project-based learning? What is it that we're referring to?
When we talk about project-based learning, it's the students have to create an actual project, which is the final goal. Most times, the final project would be something physical, or in the case of coding, something virtual or on the computer. It will pull in disciplines from all other courses so that you can achieve your goal. For example, in the trades and profession, if the students were to create a piece of furniture or some building material or something, they'll actually have to measure, and that would be incorporating maths. And then they would have to do some fractions, math again, and in the engineering part, they'd have to go to the machine, to the workshop and actually use the tools, use machines, tools, etc. So we are basically using many disciplines to solve a project.
Mm-hmm.
And the final project would actually be the assessment.
So how will the assessments look different now from what we would traditionally assess students with?
The assessments would be slightly different in that you're actually grading the process and the actual process, as opposed to the traditional methods of assessment.
Okay, so instead of just looking at the final grade, we're looking at what the student has learned over the course of the assignment.
Yes, for example,
and how they've approached it.
So when you are actually measuring, you'll be getting a grade for your measurement. When you have used the tools, you'll be getting a grade for tools. You'll be getting a grade for safety, and of course, you must assign a grade for the final project. But the final project would not be the entire grade. The final product.
Okay.
So some, if I can
Ms. Simons,
some
Okay.
Some courses, the traditional method that we might have used before might have had more quizzes. Sometimes you would have teacher-generated activities that students might do. But again, many of them are either student-based, or the students are working on these assignments over a period of time. And then they will be graded on certain segments, like Mr. Herman said. And then there will be that final project at the end. So they may not even have a final exam, so to speak, because that final product is the final grade for that course.
And if I may add, another thing that we noticed that works is that sometimes it's good to involve the students in actually creating the rubric. So they are deciding how their project and their work is actually being graded.
Thank you. This sounds like a different style of learning from when I was in school, for sure. So Ms. Simons, tell me what has been done to get the teachers prepared, embrace this different type of assessing of giving to students.
Well, at the very start of this process, the teachers have been involved in training. They've been involved in several work streams. There are teachers who are working in the background, who are making a lot of things happen. But the teachers who are actually teaching the courses have also had professional development, before they started school, and it's still ongoing. So in their, specific areas, teachers are meeting and collaborating, or business teachers collaborating. And, we have a phenomenal business teacher who joined us this year, kind of retired from the business industry and was really interested in getting into education, and has brought a wealth of information to the department, in terms of, the insurance courses that are offered. So there's some real excitement up in the business department, and as well as the health and social care. Our teachers, it was a new curriculum first starting out, so it's taking some time for teachers to go through and say, okay, I see how this aligns. And so as we continue along this process, I think teachers are more into and understanding the curriculum and what's involved. So it's just that ongoing training that's going to certainly help to make sure that students are getting the best opportunity available to them in the classroom.
Okay. Thank you for that, and a shout out to the teachers. So I know this is new to them as well in some instances, and so you have veteran teachers who've been doing this for quite a while, and now we're trying to introduce something new. But like you said, like both schools have said, teachers have been involved in this from the beginning as well, and so that is something that can be utilized to help smooth over those transitions. Mr. Herman, you said something interesting, that you said that students would be involved in the creation of the rubric of for the assignments, and that's something I've never quite heard before. Are you sure that I was going to ask you, do they actually know that's what they're doing, or they're kind of just volunteering to do that? So they know what it's going to be used for afterwards.
I actually have to guide the process, and sometimes I find that they are not as lenient as I would be when they are generating the rubrics and actually doing the grading. And it's something they actually enjoy. So, because like I said, I'm more or less a facilitator as opposed to teaching that course.
And I want to add, just as they are engaged in the rubric process, right from the beginning, they're also engaged in helping teachers to come up with the classroom rules and expectations. So that, these are the expectations they're set, and we are holding them to them. I want to say, though, I feel that the young people are really advocates for their own learning. I had a few young people initially, and in both signatures who said, I didn't pick this. My mama picked this. This is not what I like. And yet I've had to make some schedule changes. A young lady said, I really wanted to be in business. I don't want to do health and social care. So I quickly had to make a change, and she's doing well, and vice versa. I had someone, come over from to the finance as well, from health and social care. So I like the fact that they are advocating for themselves, and they're really thinking about what's best for them and how they best learn. And obviously, yes, we've had parents in that process. We have to give a call to say, listen, she came down to the office and she really wants to get into the insurance services signature. She's passionate about it. Do you agree? Obviously, we have to have that parental permission, but it's certainly something we're seeing more of, young people taking charge of their destiny.
And I want to thank you for that. When I spoke earlier today at the M3 trade fair, and that was one of the key elements that we wanted to get across to them is, we understand that there is a historic narrative around attending senior school in Bermuda, that was one where we had 8 high schools. Yes, you young ladies, we used to have 8 of them before. Then when we shrunk down to 2, and now that we're looking to expand to 4 or 5, there's going to be some legacy thought processes that go. But I think that as long as we keep our children on the forefront and keep in the forefront of their minds that they're very much involved in this decision, as much as their parents, as much as their teachers as well, and give them the currency to actually make those decisions. We'll see that we'll see some stumble, but I think in a whole we'll see most of them get it right the first time around. And you actually took one of the questions that I had scribbled down, Ms. Simons, was, have we had any students who come and say, now that I'm here, I don't think this is for me. Can we do? Is there something different? So I was wondering. We heard about that at Berkeley. Have you heard of any of students at Cedar Bridge second guessing their choices?
Yes, there have been some students in the same manner that Mrs. Simons mentioned. My mama wanted me to to do this particular pathway, and it might have also been because of maybe they had 1 or 2 sciences with the other supplemental signature courses, and so we have tried to accommodate the students. It hasn't been very many, 2, maybe 3. To try to accommodate them, or maybe try to figure out what specific area they would like to go into. But for the most part, they've stayed with the signature that they had originally selected.
Yeah. We also had the students who are at Cedar Bridge stores who are on the general track. And we're certainly hoping that students in the signature program can kind of pull their peers over so that, they came undecided. And so we have something for all students. If you couldn't decide on a signature, you're doing the general track. So you're doing your normal core subjects, but they're also getting into the arts and some are still getting into the accounting courses. But they just weren't ready at that point to decide on a signature, and nor were their parents. But there's space for everyone. And then next year, they will have the opportunity. And we'll see, we're going to track the data and see how many are actually now embracing the signature offerings that we have. And as more come on, certainly we'll see more students involved.
And thank you. Now we get to the exciting part. I know all of our students are sitting around saying, okay, when do I get to talk? Now is your opportunity. I'm going to start at Berkeley. Just state your name, and can you state what signature learning program you actually are enrolled in?
My name is Aaron Lugu, and I am doing the health and social care track.
My name is Sia Marina, and I chose the finance and insurance services signature.
Okay, and Ms. Brangman at Cedar Bridge?
My name's Sunday, and I'm in the STEM program.
STEM speaks to me as a person who has a degree in engineering. So STEM always spoke to me, but I would have had a very difficult choice between STEM and finance. I think if I was in your positions right now. But tell me, and starting with you, Mr. Lugo, tell me what interested you. What interests you about the particular program, and what are you most looking forward to when you finish your schooling career?
Well, I guess I'll go first. What I'm most looking forward to is maybe going out of school and learning things outside of school instead of staying inside and just doing work. And what I hope for, like after
Mhm.
I finish, is maybe going into maybe like being a chiropractor or physiotherapist.
All right.
All right.
I'm most looking forward to finding out what the finance and insurance program has to offer for me, because when I grow up, I want to be an actuary, so I want to know the characteristics and skill sets I would need to develop to work in the actuarial science field.
Mhm. We have a very famous young man from Berkeley that is just went off, and Mr. Richardson, a dual enrolled student. He's now at University advanced level in year 3. So I'm sure assignments I will be looking forward to getting students to come back and actually talk about their experiences, so they can give some guidance to the students that are coming through. Ms. Brangman, you're in STEM. So tell me, what is that like, being in the STEM, and what do you find most interests you about that program?
Um, what interests me in that program is the Bermuda Ecology field trips that we go on and like get our hands dirty and stuff. And
But,
Repeat that.
oh, I was gonna ask her to tell us more about the ecology trips. Like, what happens in those field trips?
Where do you go?
Get your
so,
hands dirty doing what in particular?
so go we go out to beaches and like the mangroves and ponds. And then we had um, our teacher, Ms. Barros, she tells us to collect seaweed and water, and we are looking at upland forests and um, upland coastal and rocky shorelines. Yeah.
We'll check out the ecosystem.
All right. So, well, what do you think you would be interested in pursuing after high school's over?
Um, I would like to go to college to learn more about being a marine biologist.
Did you hear that?
No, it cut out just at the end.
So just say it again. Say it one more time.
I would like to go to college to learn more about being a marine biologist.
Oh, marine biologist. Okay. Oh, and I'll stay with you in Springman, and then we'll go to Berkeley. How do you find it balancing between, because how does it set up if you do 75% of the time in your core curriculum and 30% of the time in the signature learning program? How do you find balancing that, to make sure that both of these things get equal attention? and the equal priority that they deserve.
I, I find it pretty easy to balance both of my courses.
I know it's. I'm sorry, it is me, and for whatever reason, the internet in my office is not working really good. So I didn't catch the answer to that. But I'm sure you do. I'm sure it was said, but it was, my little thing was spinning. At Berkeley, same question. How do you find the balance between the two, or is it even noticeable that you are balancing in 30% and 70% in your core career?
I think it's pretty easy because it's not as much time that we have in our tracks that we choose. So I think it's pretty easy balancing.
Okay.
Yeah, I also think it's pretty easy balancing the signature learning programs because most of our core classes will have on like Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then our signatures will be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So having them on different days, and those days we get to pick them, and then the night of we can complete the homework from each class, and then the next day switch to the other course.
Besides what, apart from being in school, what do you think it would be good to learn about the signature you've chosen? Is there any particular people or places you think you could learn from outside of just being in school?
Well, of some places, maybe like a chiropractor's office or a physiotherapist's office. I'm not sure about people though, because like I don't really go around to those places. Yeah.
I think that it would be
Okay,
nice
so
to go.
do you know any chiropractors or any PTs? Do you know any chiropractors or any physiotherapists?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Not yet. Yeah.
Interested. I'll put on a note, Miss Simons. I actually have a appointment with my physiotherapist on Tuesday, who is a Berkeley graduate. I'm going to ask her if she doesn't mind reaching out.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, so and that's the type of stuff that and so perhaps there could be help from what I've had to do since high school. And she hasn't been out of high school that long, probably 6 or 7 years since she
I'm
left.
sure Erin.
She's quite young, but
Yes, and I'm sure Erin would love to be the one to introduce her.
Erin, I know you're from St. David's.
Yep.
And Erin, you're from St. David's, and this is a St. David's girl as well. I know you I know your family very well, and this is a person who lives in St. David's as well. Young lady that lives on there. All right, Ms. Rudo, I know your people as well. What do you think would be good to learn what the signature you have chosen, or is there any places or persons outside of school you think could help you enhance what it is that you're doing?
I think it would be a good opportunity if I got to go to like an insurance company and meet an actuary because I don't know any and just see what they do in their day-to-day life so I can know what it would be like for me and visualize what my life would be like if I decide to pursue being an actuary.
Okay, and I think that's something that could be certainly. Again, I have a meeting next week with the board, and I think I know a couple of people on the Berkeley board that should be able to find an actuary to come and say hello. So hopping over to you, Cedar Bridge. You, Miss Brangman, is there anything that you think you could do to enhance what it is that you're learning? You talked about the field trips, the ecology field trips, but anything else? You said marine biologist, So there's also BIOS that I know is heavily involved in something doing. But is there anything else or any other places or could help enhance what it is you're doing?
Probably the aquarium. Yeah, the aquarium and bios.
Okay. The aquarium. Have you ever worked on there, or have you ever seen the aquarium from behind the scenes? I know everybody gets to walk in the front, but have you ever seen like what goes on behind what everything is happening?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, who knows? Perhaps somebody I went to school with is actually runs the aquarium, so that I could possibly ask. But I know the aquarium is one of the learn as well, so I'm sure things like that are already in the works. But I just want to take and I see we've reached up to 4. I just wanted to just give each group an opportunity if there's anything you wanted to say before we wrap up. Anything that you want. I know students, it's kind of nerving. It's kind of nerving to be on these types of programs, and you haven't done it as often as someone in front of the camera and talking freely. But your input is truly valued, and your input is truly welcome. And do not ever think that we don't want to hear your voices. Pick up the phone, write an email, drop a social media.
Well, when I try to log on,
but Twitter, Snapchat, we're here for you. But and I'll start at Barkley if you just want to give a quick wrap up, and then we'll go to Cedar Bridge.
Yeah. When I would try to log on to my grades, the grades aren't really syncing properly, so it's giving me the wrong information when I try to see them.
Yeah, and hearing from my past
Okay.
like my sister, she would say how every day on her phone she would have her grades.
Can you just say that?
I hear from my parents, like my sister, she says that when she used to be able to have her grades on her phone on Power School and access them every day, but we don't have that same opportunity because Power School still isn't working properly. So we're just wondering when that's going to be fixed.
Okay, because for me, but no one else. But I'm sure Miss Simons, you'll be able to forward those comments to me.
Absolutely, yeah. You seem to be
Cedar Bridge. Any last minutes?
No, it would be good. I agree with the young lady, Sioma, I think it was her name, that yes, making sure that those grades are syncing correctly so that not just the students, but the parents can have, unlimited access to be able to view those grades as you progress.
In real time.
Yeah, in real time.
Yeah, it's my internet is really messing up, guys. I do apologize. I'll have to go back and listen because apparently you're fine with me that can barely hear anything. I just want to take this time to thank everyone for their time. What's that?
I guess the other thing I would say is having more open forums. It doesn't have to be on a radio show, but having open forums where you yourself, minister, come into the school, speak with the students, get down and get your hands dirty with some of the things that they're doing, and get their feedback from, get more feedback from other students of different perspectives. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the order. We'll definitely make it happens. I'm not afraid to walk into any school and be showing up as a student, because at the end of the day, that is what we want to do. We want to push our students. We want to train them up and then push them forward so they take our places. So, and that is my ultimate goal. And so with that, guys, I just thank everyone for coming up. Thank you, Deputy Principal Simons. Thank you, Acting Deputy Principal Hodup. Thank you, Teacher Herman, Mr. Herman, and thank you, students, Mr. Lugo, Rudo, and Ms. Rangman, for joining, we encourage all parents and guardians and family and community to share what you've learned from today. Plus, you can be reached, Learning First website, EA.com. We can be reached by email at schoolredesign@moed.bm, and we're also on social media, on all the social medias that you can join us on. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Learning First, and also at MOED. So with that, I want to thank everyone for giving us this time. Thank you, students, especially. I will be reaching out. I know we talked about some things that we can do for you in terms of getting, and I'll look forward to following through with that. Also look forward to getting some written feedback on some of the things we talked about that I was unable to hear. And so with everyone, please, Bermuda, thank you for listening to us, and everyone have a good evening and a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.